Welcome to the Power of Your Voice podcast with your host, Johnny Gorky. You have the power to overcome challenges and fears. Let my voice and the voice of many others show you how to transform these challenges into opportunities. To learn more about future podcasts and read episode show notes, check out my website at www.thepowerofyourvoice.com.
This is episode 21, and today's special guest is my amazing friend, Andrea. So, Andrea, welcome to the Power of Your Voice podcast. So, you are a freedom and lifestyle strategist and help ambitious women with entrepreneurial spirits to go from stressed out to a peace out of being themselves, which is just amazing. So, one thing I know about you, you once were a lawyer. When did you discover you no longer wanted to be a lawyer? And what made you shift into coaching? Because that's a big, big difference.
Yeah. Hi, Johnny. So it's super cool to be here with you today and be talking about all that stuff, freedom coaching and freedom in general, because that's what is in my heart. And to be honest, to answer your question, when I discovered that I don't want to be a lawyer, it was pretty much very early after I started my studies at university. So somewhere deep down, I already knew a long time ago that law and being a lawyer just is not for me. And it took me a good couple of years, maybe 10 or more, to really realize that it's just really not for me and I'm on the very wrong path and I want to be doing something else with my life. So before jumping off the wagon, I actually went to study another university in London just to make sure that it's really not for me. And I started working as a lawyer for a multinational company in Ireland, in Dublin, for another 6 years. And at some point, I just really had the urge to do something else, but I was so scared because I didn't know how to do anything else. It might sound really funny, but as a lawyer, I really didn't know how to do anything else but to be a lawyer. That was the only thing I knew how to do. And because I didn't want to be a lawyer, I didn't know what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. So I took a sabbatical leave for like 6 months and I went to India. I shaved my head and I meditated in caves, and I did lots of yoga and all that cool stuff, which happens in India. And I came back and I was super, super clear on that. I don't want to be a lawyer. I want to be doing something else, but I still didn't know what was that thing which I wanted to be doing. So I manifested another job in the same company, but with the business department, which is it was like a huge jump already, because as a lawyer, I really didn't know a lot about business or analytics or research or all that stuff. But I got a chance and an opportunity to start doing something else. And I realized I really like business. I like the business part of things. And I realized I don't want to be working for anyone else anymore. So there was just one answer for me: go and work for yourself. And life coaching and personal development has been something I've been interested in for years, more than 10 years. And it just came together. I thought, okay, I will be a life coach. I'll find my niche and my sweet spot, what I want to be teaching others and what I want to be helping others with. Does it answer your question?
Yeah, well, I was just thinking, because one of the amazing things too is like, if you meet anybody pretty much who does something now that they love, they first started doing something that they thought was the right track to get into. And then they decided, this just isn't something that I want to do. But at the same time, you think, do you regret going to school? Because, one of the things I've learned about you got to a point where you were in the bathroom and you were crying and, you were, you're about to take your bar exam. And that was probably a really difficult time in your life. But had you not gone through all that stuff, you wouldn't be where you are right now. So at a time, you're like, should you have ever even gone to school, wasted all that time becoming a lawyer? And probably the answer would be yes, because you wouldn't be where you are right now, right?
Exactly. At that time, I truly believed that this is the right thing to do and the path to take. Go to the school, go, but for the university, pursue the goal you really want, and then really, really realize what you really want to be doing with your life. Because I believe we all start like this. We think that we want one thing, but through the process of getting to it, or maybe even achieving it, it might become really, really clear that this is not what we want to be doing. But without having that experience, this knowledge, this realization would not be possible. And that's why I truly believe it's necessary for us to go through even unwanted experiences in life. They don't have to be negative as such, but we have to have experiences in order to realize what we really like, what we don't like, and what we want. Otherwise, we have no idea what we're going for. Like, do you remember when you were 18, maybe? And then everyone was asking you, like, what university do you want to go to? What do you want to be when you grow up, right? Those things. And when you're 18, most of us, we have no idea what we want to be doing with our lives. Everything seems to be perfect, great, amazing. Life is full of opportunities and possibilities. When I was 18, I remember I applied for legal studies. I applied for journalism degree. I applied for traineeship. I was all over the place. I liked so many things, but only having those specific experiences afterwards, having the legal career, being in legal environment, working as a legal trainee, working for the embassy in London, all those experiences gave me the picture of what I truly want.
Now, what made you exactly decide to go to school to become a lawyer?
Oh, that's really great, but I believe I really wanted to save the world when I was small. I was a little child, and I grew up in communism. So in my early years, in my childhood, there was still communism in Slovakia. There was Czechoslovakia at that time. So I grew up in communism until I was 8 years old, and then it all collapsed and changed, and it took a couple of years, um, to come on a new system and democracy and everything. But in communism, everyone seemed to be very equal. There were no rich people, there were no poor people. Supposedly, there were not supposed to be any homeless people, all that stuff, right? But still, I could see that there are people who are suffering because there were children who had, I don't know, they had parents who didn't take care of them. So they didn't have as much as we had at home. So I considered them socially underprivileged, even though I didn't know what that was at that time. And very naturally, I was taking care of all those children who I knew. Like, I would give them my food, I would bring them my clothes to school so they could take it. And I was really driven by justice. And I thought, well, justice means law. So I will be a lawyer and then I will bring the justice in. Well, as you can imagine, all my dreams and my ideals were really trashed upon finishing university, graduating, and then the hard realization of how the legal profession and the legal world actually works. And the hardest realization for me was actually to see that legal system as such, it doesn't work and it doesn't provide for justice at all.
Well, the most beautiful thing is at least you did do it for the right reason, because some people, especially here in the United States, talking to some people who are lawyers, they do it just for the money. They don't do it
Oh yeah,
because
I was
they love
there as well. Don't worry.
it.
I graduated university, and then I realized, oh my God, what am I going to do with that degree, right? And I had several options where to go. I could go work for a charity or become, I don't know, a family lawyer or whatever. And I chose to become an attorney because this is where the big bucks are when you're an attorney, when you work for big corporations, when you do all that stuff. No criminal law, nothing like that fancy, but commercial law. So I went for commercial law as my when I was to decide what I want to be doing with that. And yes, I started pursuing the money with that as well. But after a couple of years, actually 4 years exactly, I realized this is not for me at all. And I left my first traineeship job where I became a lawyer or an attorney. And I just packed myself. I said goodbye to the legal office I was working in after the bar exam. They wanted me to stay and become a partner in that law firm. And I said, I can't do that. So I quit the job. I quit my boyfriend. I quit my apartment and I went to England to start, anew in London, where I didn't know anyone. I had no job. I had no friends or any securities. And I was just like, yeah, that's it. This is for me.
Well, and the crazy thing is you were able to identify that and see it. Now, for someone who might be listening to this episode, they're like, maybe they're stuck in this position. They make tons of money. Maybe they're a lawyer and they just got the opportunity to get a partnership where they can make tons and tons of money, but at the same time, they're not happy. How are you able to overcome this? Like, you were willing to just, okay, you know what? I make great money. But this is just not my passion. How are you able to step away from that and do that?
Well, I really believe when the pain is too much, everyone will do the change. Everyone will make certain steps to change that situation. So I can only talk for myself, but I can say the pain of not living the life I really wanted was so big that I just couldn't do it anyway, any longer. And many people were asking me like, but you were so brave. You just gave up everything and you changed your life and you packed and you moved to another country. Where did you get the courage to do that? And I said, I was not, there was no courage. I was desperate. There was pure desperation when you don't want something so badly that you are willing to sacrifice and do everything what it takes to get something else. That's the breaking point. And that's what I experienced as well. So there was no brave decision for me or no moral, decision just to do the right thing. I actually didn't want to do it. I was shit scared. I just knew I had to do it for myself to survive this life.
Well, and yeah, I guess sometimes people just have to hit rock bottom where it's like, this is enough. I just can't do this anymore.
Exactly. That was my point as well. Just crying on the bathroom floor, not knowing what the matter is. Like, my life seems to be perfect on the outside. On paper, everything seemed right. Great lawyer, legal career, great boyfriend, amazing flat, friends. I lived in Prague. The city is amazing. Everything seemed perfect, and yet I felt so unhappy. I just couldn't go on with that any longer. So, yeah, I ran away. I escaped.
And after you did it, how did it feel that you did that? Because, yeah, that's a hard thing to do, but you did it.
The best feeling ever. It's like, I don't know. I never did skydiving, but I can imagine it's something like that. I
Very
remember,
liberating.
after quitting my job and leaving my boyfriend and the flat and all that stuff, I was sitting on that plane from Prague to London. I had a one-way ticket, and that was like the second or third time in my life I flew on a plane. And the feeling when the plane takes off and you get a little pressure on your belly because the plane goes up, and many people are scared of flying because they don't like that feeling. I love that feeling because that is what reminds me on that day when I left everything behind and I felt the biggest freedom ever in my whole life. I was crying with happiness. A heavy burden almost like fell off my shoulders, and I said, this is what my life is supposed to be about that feeling, about that happiness, these kind of experiences. And I kind of never stopped afterwards. Pursuing those moments of real happiness, of satisfaction of life and purpose. There was such a deep, deep feeling of purpose, even though I had no idea what I'm going to do with my life. I had no idea what I'm, whether I'm completely ruining my life or I'm just starting a new chapter. I had no idea. I just trusted that gut feeling that it was the right thing to do.
Well, that's the thing. You just, sometimes in life, we just have to go through a lot of experiences, tough experiences as well, just to figure out what we really, really want. And that is how we really find ourselves.
Totally, totally. And I'm still doing that. Like, it's a process, never ending process. That person, it was, how many years ago that was? That was like 2000. Yeah, maybe 11, 12 years ago. I'm a completely different person since then. Anyways, I'm always telling my friends, I feel like I'm living my third or fourth life already. Like, there's so many things, there's so many experiences I had in my life, and I keep changing my life every so often. It's almost like every 4 years I change a country, I change a job, I go and do something else, and it's always something new to discover, and it's ever so thrilling. It gets even more and more exciting every year. Every time I do something new, it's like a new chapter.
Which is definitely an entrepreneur, because that's the thing. It's like, most people who work for these corporations, they do the same thing for 40, 50 years. And for some people, that's okay. But that can be boring. So for you, it's like, you're living this amazing life, and every couple of years, you're always doing something else, but you're really, truly enjoying your life, which is just absolutely beautiful.
Just recently, I came up with this idea. I'm back in Slovakia, living in my hometown, and I realized what I want to be doing? I want to build a yoga studio in my little hometown. There is no such a thing as a really yoga studio. People are ready to finally, start doing something on a spiritual level as well, something for the health. And it's a challenge for me because I need to commit to a place, to a specific geography, and be here for some time at least, which is not what I want to be doing. But it really is something which I haven't done before. And the whole idea is so thrilling for me, and it's exciting that I just want to do that. If you asked me 2 months ago whether I would be willing to stay in my little hometown and, let's say, start a business, I would say, are you crazy? I would say no. And now today, I'm building that studio. I'm going for it because it's so, so exciting. And I'm, accomplishing another dream of mine. So it never stops surprising me what actually can happen if you say yes to your life, to your own new dreams, no matter how crazy they might be, to your own cravings and wants, which you have. Like, so many, of us, we think, oh, I shouldn't want that, or I shouldn't dream like this because it's too crazy, it's unrealistic or unreasonable. But that's where the juice is. That's what makes the life so amazing. Going for it. And then being willing or ready to lose everything, risk everything for the gain that you will have the life you wanted. You might not have everything, the money. You might not have, I don't know, piles of, medals or whatever in one category. But if you go for those crazy inspirational things which you have in your mind, in your head, you will never regret living the life to the best of your abilities.
Oh, exactly. Well, there's like a really good saying. The richest place in the world is down the street from you, and it's called a cemetery, because so many people in life, they have all these big dreams, like they're going to start businesses and nonprofit organizations, and they're going to accomplish so much in a life. But most people are so scared to actually do those things. So they literally die with all these dreams, maybe curing diseases, but they never do it because they don't even try, because they think they're going to fail. You're going to start your yoga business. You may fail, but you may not. But you will never know if you don't try. Because of who you are, it will be a success. But that's the thing. It's like you have to be willing to try, because otherwise you're never going to know.
You have to, exactly. And as you said, and we all know that, right? Like, people, we usually regret things we never did. We don't regret the things we did. Like, just, if we are just really honest with ourselves, if we ask ourselves, like, what's the last thing I regret? Was it something I did or something I didn't do? I bet you that the majority of us, we would say it's that thing which I didn't do. What's the
Exactly.
last thing for you, Johnny? Do you have anything like that?
No, I mean, my biggest regret that I never went to college, but eventually I did. And I was the first person in my entire family that's ever gone to college and graduate, which was amazing. But that's the things, like in my past, I thought I could never have done that, but I did it. And that's the things, like so many things we think we can't do. But when you're surrounded by a wonderful support and people say, you know what, do it. Do it. What's stopping you? Yourself. Do it anyways. It's amazing what we can actually accomplish. We can accomplish so much. It's like, I don't know, maybe when you were going to school, maybe you didn't think, you were able to go to college and become a lawyer because of money or not being smart enough, whatever it is, but you still did it.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing, because we often use our society, or like our families, or the circles of friends which we have, as a signal whether to do something or not. And it's like, so many of us can complain that, I don't have a supportive family, and that's normal, right? Not everyone has a supportive family. Not everyone has great friends who want the best for them. So even in an environment where you don't feel supported, there is no such a thing as complaint, right? As justification um, for not doing something. Because, and that's the biggest regret, like what people have. I didn't do something because, I don't know, my mom told me not to do, or like somebody talked me out of that. And many people can have so many regrets about that, and not even regrets, but even hold grudges towards that person who actually wanted the best for them, but didn't give them the best advice. So people, don't listen to your to your mothers when it comes to running your business or taking risky adventures. Like, I have a friend who's traveling the world at the moment. She's in Thailand, and I dearly love this friend of mine. She's Slovakian, and she wanted to go to Germany to study Kung Fu. And the school in Germany said, no, sorry, no go for us. I don't know what's the detail, right? And my friend, instead of thinking, oh, they don't want me, I'm not suitable for Kung Fu or anything like that, she goes like, fuck them, I'm gonna go to China. The birthplace of Kung Fu, right? Like, she's not giving up. She's pursuing her dream. She's going for it, no matter what. And I bet you, when she told her mother that she's going to China study Kung Fu for 5 years, she probably got a heart attack.
Well, that's the thing. When you want to do something, don't allow anything to stop you. And just because, some other country says, no, you can't do that here, doesn't mean the answer is no. Just, you have to go somewhere else. And you're just like, starting a business, if you're going to do a yoga studio or any other business, if you have family and friends who don't know anything about business, find someone who's an expert at what you want to do and get their advice, because people want to help people. They'll share their experiences, the things that they've overcome in that business, so you can be successful, so you don't have to experience the same things that they did, the struggles and all that kind of stuff. Because, there are people who want you to be successful. You just got to find them.
So, Johnny, in my experiences, the real thing, the real um, fear which we actually have from taking risky actions and exposing ourselves and doing something which we've never done before, the real fear is actually emotional. And now I might go a little bit into what I'm actually doing with people, what I'm coaching people on, and that's the emotional freedom. But because what we are mostly scared of is not actually the fear of failing. And it's not the fear that somebody will tell that we are a loser or they will laugh at us or anything like that. We are scared of our own feelings and emotions. And I use feelings and emotions interchangeably, so it doesn't matter which one is what. But the fear is actually that we will feel crap, that we will feel, I don't know, useless, or the fear of feeling inadequate or stressed, because financial stress is a big aspect of that as well. So when we don't want to do something is actually because we want to avoid feeling bad emotions. Bad emotions are the negative emotions. They're not actually bad, but for the sake of, this conversation, I'm just going to call them the bad ones, because there are certain emotions which we are avoiding, and there are emotions which are the good ones, and we're actually pursuing them. We want more of those emotions, right? So anything which signals that warning, this could be a trap and you might feel, bad, don't go there. And our brain dictates what actions we're gonna take and which ones we're not gonna take. So all the experiences in our life taught us what is a good thing to do, which brings good emotions, and what is the bad thing to do, which brings bad emotions. So let's say going on a date with a new person. You've dated before, you had bad relationships, you had your heart broken many times. Your brain goes, warning, this situation might break your heart again. What do you think you're gonna do, right? It's so easy to avoid dating just because we are scared that we will feel crappy again. So we just don't do that. And that's the same with anything else, like applying for a new job, asking the boss for more money, for a pay rise, or going for your new business. What if I fail? I will feel bad about myself and I will not like it. So I'm not going to do that.
I love that. So how do you break through all that garbage?
Exactly. That's a good question, right? Because it's all in our emotional blueprint. I will try to explain that emotional blueprint is basically our emotional set, which we have inside of us, and which is already, it's programmed. So let's say I have my emotional triggers, you have your emotional triggers. They're completely different because we are two different people. We have two different life experiences, right? So we're not the same. We have different emotional set points in our body. But the thing is that what stops you from taking actions in your life are your triggers. And it's all emotional. It doesn't matter whether it's a new date, new house, new baby in the family, scary things, or taking, business to the next level. It's all emotional. So breaking through that, it's easy. You either go for it and you can motivate yourself, you can inspire yourself, and you just go and break through that by pushing through that action which you really don't want to do. That's one way how to do it. And there are many coaches, many amazing people out there, helping others to break through that and then just push through that. And it's working. That it's working for many people and might not be working for so many people. Why? Because if you don't change by that action, your emotion, which is underneath, you haven't changed anything. You might have gotten one more tick in your boxes that you've done something, but you haven't changed the blueprint in your emotional set point. When you change the emotional set point, and that is gonna change only when you understand your own emotions, when you are aware what's going on, and when you actually embrace those emotions. And I can tell you, this is actually an easier way how to deal with your own emotions. What I'm talking about is actually embracing those negative emotions, and some people call it the shadow work as well. It's a little bit on that side as well. It's when you accept all of your emotions on the whole scale, from the most negative ones to the most positive ones. and you embrace all of them, and you realize that there are no bad emotions or feelings. They're all equally valid. And when you come to peace with all of them, you invite them into your life, you hug them, and you just dissolve them.
Well, and
Weird.
yeah, well, and that's the thing. It's like, it's all about action, because that's the thing. You can read all the self-help books you want, but you have to actually do the work. You have to do it. And it's just like anything else in life. Think about anything that you've done. Why are you so good at it? Because you did it over and over and over again.
And this exactly applies to your emotional set points as well, because it's just so easy to give in, to say, you know, it's too much for me and it's scary. And it is scary. Even this work, which I'm doing, the emotional freedom, it is scary because so many times you have to face your worst nightmares, the worst fears. And then even facing them, it's so scary and difficult for so many people. That's why we don't break through them, because we back off all the time. We don't go through them. We don't see them for what they are. We don't kind of dissect them into what is really going on, what's real here, what's just a story, what's just an imagination here playing its game. But when you do the work, and it takes commitment, you can absolutely free yourself.
Absolutely. Well, and that's the thing, it is very scary for a lot of people, because they've been going through these things their entire life, and a lot of times some of that stuff is passed down through generation to generation. The experiences that their parents went through, they pass on to their kids, and then everyone keeps on reliving the same thing all over again.
Yeah. And it's not even real. It's not even their experience. It's just a projection. But when you understand what's really going on, like what's the deal here, then it becomes easier and easier. One of my favorite mantras is actually, fear is not real. Fear is not real. It's just a chemical reaction in the body reacting to some substances and to some triggers. And it's not real. Fear doesn't exist. I mean, it feels really weird, real in that situation, but it's not. It's just like if somebody gives you, dark sunglasses and puts them on your eyes, and then tells you like, what do you see? And you go like, it's dark. It's really dark. I don't see anything. And it's not real. It's just that you're having the sunglasses on your eyes. But to see that it's not real, that you can actually take them off to see something else, that's the scary part. You remember the movie Matrix?
Oh, the movie. Yes, yes.
Yeah. You remember how Neo was supposed to jump off a building or something, and they told him it's not real. You just have to jump off the building and you will fly. And he asked them, but what if I fall? And they told him like, if you don't believe that you can fly, you will fall and you will die because it's real. But in the same way, it's not real. If you don't if you don't buy into that story, you can actually fly. I know it's a stupid movie, but it's just such a great analogy, like how much trust we have to have when we want to, break that through.
Sometimes in life, you just have to take off the glasses. I love that.
Exactly.
So one thing I wanted to ask you, how did you discover your sense of identity in your past? And, because in your past, you say that you had no sense of identity. How are you able to discover it? Because that's a big thing for some people who might be listening to, might not even know who they are. Maybe they are where they are because their mom and dad says, you got to do this, and that's their identity, but that's not really who they are.
Well, it's exactly the breaking points which I went through, and I believe many people do as well. The black night of the soul, when you start questioning everything about your life. What's the purpose of you being here? Of you doing that? Of you living? If you've never questioned that, you've never questioned your identity, It might be a case that you're still holding on to that identity which was created for you or with you as well, but completely unconsciously, right? This is when we think, oh, I'm a lawyer, I'm a mother, all those labels, which we actually use, and they're quite normal. But there is so much more underneath that. And to realize who you really are, you need to start questioning yourself. Like this is what I did. I had no idea who I was any longer after I quit my job. I was not a lawyer, and there was so much identity attached to that position. Who I was when I was not a lawyer, I wasted all those years on my legal trainings, on my studies. I'm not a lawyer. Who am I? I had no idea. And then the process of starting or realizing who I was actually commenced. But it was not possible without breaking all the identities.
Well, and that's so important because, you know, for a lot of people, you ask them, who are you? And okay, I'm a mother, I'm a father, I'm a doctor, whoever that is. But when you break all that stuff away, who are you? And we don't always know exactly who we are. We think what we do for a living is who we are, but that's not really deep down who you are as a person.
Exactly. And this is where confidence actually comes from as well. Confidence, and I'm talking, I'm saying that to all of my clients. Your confidence doesn't come from being a lawyer, being a successful, I don't know, a speaker, or, a good mother, or all that stuff. Your confidence comes from knowing yourself, who you really are. And even that is not an attachment to who you are, because it's a process. It's always a process. It's never ending. Who you were yesterday is someone else and who you are today. And what is the scary thing here for many people? We like security. We like to know. We like, what's the state of art? What's the the state of economy today? We like our securities. And this, what I'm talking about, requires a lot of trust and faith into not knowing what's going on. Because once you know who you are, you're not allowing anything else, anything new in, or any changes, because it's stable. Only if you open up to ever-changing nature of everything, you will realize who you really are. And that's scary at the beginning. Because not knowing who I am is a scary process to start off.
So for somebody who's listening right now, who's like, honestly, I don't know who I am. How can they find themselves? Like maybe travel the world, spend some time by themselves. You know, what's something that you would suggest to that person who's trying to find who they really, really are?
Oh, well, I think if somebody is asking themselves, I don't know who I am anymore, I think that's the best starting position. This is the requirement for the whole inquiry, actually. Already, admitting to myself that I don't know who I am is an amazing point, because from there everything is possible, and it takes courage to admit something like that, strength and confidence that it's okay not to know. It's okay that today I don't know, but I'm gonna find out. I'm on that journey. I know it will be revealed to me when I need that. I know there is a purpose for this. I know there is an outcome coming out of that. But being in that limbo, it's very uncomfortable, because we like to know and we want to figure out very quickly and put a label straight away on something just to understand, because our brains, they like to understand things. That's the purpose. They need to understand so they can protect us. But if they don't have that food, they don't have that label, what it is they're dealing with, they go like, oh my God, am I going crazy here? And when that happens, when you feel like, oh my God, I might be going insane actually, because I have no idea, that's the point. That's the perfect position to start the inquiry. Just don't be scared.
And I think it's a life process because you are always going to constantly rediscover yourself. Like, every 10, 15 years, you're going to find, you know, you might have loved one thing, but now you realize, no, I don't love that anymore. Now I like this.
Oh, absolutely. It's not a pre-requirement, but it's a it's a consequence of your own growth, of your own development. If that happens, it means actually you are growing and you're shading your own ways, the old ways of being, of doing, liking things, that your circles of friends might change. You will no longer do things which you've done in the past. You might stop drinking, you might stop smoking, all that stuff. I don't know what might happen, but you will definitely choose different things in your life which will support you more in the new ways of who you actually are now today.
This is something that you say. Every girl on this planet should have it all. What can they do to achieve this, do you think?
Oh my
'Cause
god, that's a huge question.
yes.
Definitely a huge question. But what I mean by that is, how many people don't even dare to dream anymore because they just don't think that something is possible for them. And what I like and what I really actually love to impart onto people I work with is that new seed of hope that something might be possible for them. That the little girl's dream, which they had when they were 7 or 9, it's still possible and they can do something about that. Um, a funny thing when I ask people sometimes what they really want in life, so many people, they just don't know what they want. They look at me with their big eyes looking like, what do you mean what I want? Nobody have ever asked me that question, or I've never asked myself the question, because I just do what I do, what's required, what I think is the right thing to do. But what I really want, I don't know what I want. And that's the breaking of identity as well, just to realizing what my soul actually wants from this lifetime, like what I want to spend the time on in my life, what I want to be doing. And that was the part where for me, I realized I don't want to be a lawyer because I don't want to be staring onto a pages and pages of contracts looking for corrections and all that stuff, because this is not the way I want to spend my life on. But realizing what I really want is a tricky question, because when you realize what you want, you might find out that you actually don't want to do or have the thing which you have right now. Let's say, what if I want someone else? What if I want to be married to someone else than who I'm married to today, right? What if this is a completely wrong person for me? And that's scary because now you know that you have to do something about that. And so many people, they just don't want to see, they don't want to see the reality of their life being completely not the life they want, because then they have to do the scary stuff: breaking up, getting divorced, dealing with all that, issues and problems. It's easier just to put blinders on our eyes and just not deal with the situation at all. So don't ask me what I want.
Yeah, well, I think it all comes down to being who you want to be. One of the big things that we have in American culture, and it is shifting, but like I have two sisters. It's like, your parents tell your daughters, okay, you need to find yourself a rich man who will take care of you. But then you're so dependent on that person. Who are you? You're only something because that person spends money, they pay for everything, but you're not being yourself. You're not being true to yourself. You're not being true to your identity. And that is why, we constantly always need to ask ourselves better questions, be challenging to yourself. Just like you're saying about relationships. Maybe the relationship that you're in currently is not the best relationship to be in. So yeah, hey, is this relationship that I'm in, is this a loving, caring, committed relationship, or should I end it?
Right. And it's not it's not the right thing to do for everyone anyways, right? We almost have to like grow into that moment when we're able to face all of those questions and find the answers. There are times where we just float innocently through lives and we're not ready to deal with any of that. And that's not happening. But there will come a point, and that point is for everyone. It's different, when we are ready to deal with ourselves, with discovering what we really want and take the life to another level as well. Because till then, you know, nobody can force us to do that, right? So I would never say we all have to do it, or we will have like unsuccessful lives or unhappy lives, right? Happiness is a very personal thing for each and every one of us, and we're all in completely different levels. So what's right for me today might not be right for you today as well. So there is like a balance. I'm always looking for people who are ready to deal with themselves and who are actually seeking the help, the support in whatever I was going through myself as well, so I can actually help them. Not everyone is ready, and some people might not even be ready ever in their whole life. But that's the beauty of life, right? It has so many varieties that every variety is welcomed here.
Yeah, well, and it's so good. You constantly have to ask yourself these questions. Now, one question I did want to ask you, because you've experienced all these things in your life. Now, if you could go back to when you're like 18, 19 years old and you figure out, going to college, and when people are saying, "What are you going to do?" What would you tell yourself?
Oh wow, that's a good one. You know, I would tell myself, just do what you want. I would not tell myself not to go for university or not do that thing or another thing. Everything had its purpose at that time. It was the right place, the right thing, right people. So I would not change a thing. If I had a chance to talk to myself, I would only hug myself probably. I would not even say a word. Because even if it was difficult times and I struggled a lot and all that stuff, it was just perfect. And I'm not just saying it like, oh, everything is just perfect and peace and harmony and love, but it was perfect. It truly was. It was what I wanted, and I always got what I needed, even though I never got what I wanted. But it was the perfect path for me. And honestly, I think this is the perfect life for me, with all the experiences and the skills and the realizations I have. I just love my life completely, and I would change nothing.
That's beautiful. And the most important thing is no regrets.
Exactly. And even with regrets, like, I'm not saying it that I have no regrets because I'm perfect. I'm saying even regrets, it's just such a unhelpful thing to do, because it's not going to change a thing. It's not going to help you feel better. So even if you regret things, learn from them or take them as an inspiration for your next decision, and love your regrets. Just love your regrets. They're your regrets. Why would you not want your regrets? Just like, imagine they're your children. They're part of you. Your experiences, your decisions, whether you judge them now or misjudge them, they are part of you. And if you deny a part of you, it's like there's no love if you don't accept the whole of you, with all your flaws, with all your decisions, whether you like them or not, with all the um the fuck ups and the screw ups, and just love them. If somebody hated you for something you did, love that anyways, because it's you. And if you don't love all those parts of you, who will?
No one. You have to love yourself.
Exactly. So just start today and say, I fucked up, and you know what? I would not do it again. Now I know better, but I still love that I did it. I love it because there was a part of me which decided at a time that this is the best thing to do. Now I know more. Now I'm smarter. Now I have more experiences, and I would not do that again. But then I didn't have all those informations. Maybe I did something for the first time, and I just thought it would go well, and it didn't. But I did that because I thought it's a good decision. So why wouldn't I love that?
Yeah, and that's the thing. We regrets everything. It's all our own. You have to love everything about yourself. I mean, at the end of the day, no one's going to love you as much as you love yourself.
Exactly.
So just a couple more questions for you. So this is a very important question because deep down you are a business person. So Andrea, for women listening right now who want to start their own business, what are 3 pieces of advice that you would give them? Because, there are a lot of women who may want to start a business, but maybe they're scared. They don't think they can do it, or, they don't have enough money, or whatever it might be. What are 3 pieces of advice that you would give to those women who want to start a business?
That's a good one. I would say to someone, just get really clear if you really want to do business. And if you're really ready to maybe give up everything what you have and change as a person, because becoming a business person requires a transformation on the personal level as well. It doesn't work any other way. Like coming from a corporate world, let's say, and then just jumping on the business, thinking I'll do the same stuff which I did before, it's not gonna work. It's just not gonna work. And I'm always talking about a new way of running a business, which is actually spiritual way of running businesses. And you, Johnny, you're a great example of how it works actually as well, because we see more and more spiritual people and more aware people coming into business and running their businesses in a way which contributes to everyone and everything around, right? Like we are abandoning that old module, which is, or which looks like, oh, there's a business and there is maybe a couple of people or like one person at the top which benefits from that business, and then there is everyone else who kind of sacrifices something, works or exchange their hours for money, and then there are many people involved in that business, but the only person who really benefits from it is just one or two, and everyone else it is sacrificing in the process of like sacrificing something. They might still get the money, they might still get whatever they're getting out of the business, because otherwise they would not do that, but it's not a win-win situation. And what I'm talking about, the new way of business, is having that mindset of win-win, where there's not only the CEO of the company who gets all the benefits, or the small group of shareholders, and everyone else gets to be less off than when they started. But now is the business which contributes to everyone. And what does it mean actually? Everyone is better off than without that business, without your specific business. And the people who work with you, or the people who are your clients, and they are the people who receive the contributions of your business, everyone is better off. Everyone, not just one or two people or a small group. So this is what I'm talking about, the new ways of creating businesses, and I see it everywhere. This is the movement. This is the wave of changing how we actually operate, how we run our businesses, and the whole economy. And that's why I believe strongly, if you want to be successful in business, you have to shift your mindset into that win-win modality, and start thinking as a contributor, not as a taker only. And Donnie, I know you know what I'm talking about exactly, but that's the mindset which I would inquire about everyone who wants to start a business. Like if they're only there for the money, it's not gonna last long. Are they gonna be struggling all the way and not find the one thing they really want to get from the business? Because so many people go into the business to find freedom, right? They want the flexibility, they want to be their own boss, they don't want to listen to anyone else, they want to be creative and all that stuff. And at the end of the day, they find themselves just spinning the wheel again, doing stuff which they don't want to, just because they think they're supposed to be doing it this way. And this is what I'm talking about, the transformation of the mindset, changing the mindset from an employee into a CEO of the company all the time. So the question is, do you have the mindset of a business person? Are you ready to transform yourself? And are you able or willing to give it all? Because it will take all of you. Your transformation will take everything what you think you know about yourself, and it's an identity break as well. So it's a massive, massive commitment. And if you're ready for all of that, then yeah, go all for it.
I absolutely love that, because that's the thing. There are a lot of people who've worked at a company, maybe 10, 15, 20, 40 years. They have a great business concept and they want to do something that is going to be a total win-win for everybody who's involved. But because they've worked for the company and they have the employee mindset, I realize, they need to work with a business coach. We're working with you, working with whoever, that could really, really help them to be successful.
It is, because even such a straightforward thing as a business, you might be thinking, oh, everybody wants business for the same reason. But that's not true, because we all have our own individual motivations, what we actually look for. And that's being really honest with ourselves, with myself, when I say I really want a business because of this and that, and going deep down into the emotional set point, why I want the business, what's the trigger for me, what is the good feeling I'm seeking in having my own business, what is the emotions I'm looking for in having my own business. And if I don't, transform all of my emotional set points, which I want, those specific set points which I want, which I'm looking for, I will never be satisfied in my business. I might have even money. I might be a success on paper, but if the business is not satisfying the emotions which I'm looking for, which I want, I'm not going to be considering myself success, because I didn't get what I want from business. Does it make sense?
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, you need to make more than just money to be successful. You have to have your time. You have to run a company that's going to actually do something for mankind, do something that's good. So for anybody who's listened to this podcast, how can they find you, Andrea, online, Instagram? How can they use your coaching services, reach out to you? Because you are an amazing coach. You really, really are. And your personality, oh my God, you're a badass.
Back at you, Johnny. Absolutely. So my preferred way of contact is Facebook. It's Andrea Theisz Coaching on Facebook. I have a website, which is andreatheisz.com as well. It's old, it's not updated, but you can get a sense of what who I am and what I do. I'm always offering free discovery calls for people who are really ready to get rid of their bad or nasty emotions. I'm saying get rid of, because this is what most people think they want. Like, yeah, if I could just get rid of feeling guilty or feeling fear and all that stuff. We really don't get rid of them, but we learn how to live with them in a more effective way, so they're not a block on our way, but they're supporters. So we're changing them into our cheerleaders. So yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you so very much for being on the Power of Your Voice podcast. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. And I love you. You're great. Thank you.
Thank you, Johnny. Love you back.
Johnny here. Thank you for listening to the Power of Your Voice podcast. I'd love to get your feedback on this episode and how it impacted you. If someone in your life could benefit from this episode, share it with them. Check out thepowerofyourvoice.com to read show notes, leave a comment on the blog page, and to stay updated on all future episodes, subscribe to this podcast and leave a 5-star review. Thank you for your love and support.